Well, thank you. This was so much. I saw the, Audrey and I, of course, talked about the program, and I saw it in advance, and I was like, I've never done this before. The Q&A first, it's like dessert first, and I feel so happy. But I love it, because now I can just sort of fill in some gaps. I do want to seriously thank you, and to thank the Indivisible movement. This has been the joy of this campaign. When people ask me, why are you running for governor of Illinois right now? Like, yes, there's many billionaires running. There's a really surprising number of nephews of presidents running. And then there's little old Daniel. Why are you doing this? And the answer, of course, a lot of it was in the answer to the question of what's my passion, but the rest of it is sitting in this room, because there's not enough for me to be passionate about transforming our economy. Our economy is the way it is because we have a lot of powerful interests that have benefited from it for a very long time. And the question is, do we have the tools to do something about it? And the incredible profusion of new activist communities that have arisen around this state and around this country, I think, create a different kind of political moment and a different kind of political opportunity than we have ever seen before. So I do want to thank you for the activism that you're involved in and for the commitment that you have. I'll say just a little bit just about myself personally. Like I said, I have these two children, Elliot and Theodore, who are 9 and 7. They're in 4th and 2nd grade. We live in Evanston. My wife just finished her PhD in history at Northwestern, so a historian and a politician, it's like every other family, right? But none of this was really the plan. I used to teach math. I taught math at the University of Chicago, and that was my dream job. But I saw that we had a present lying to us. I saw that we had a nation spinning out of control. I saw that we had a movement growing to do something about it, and I just felt that I had to do something about that, and so I started showing up and grabbed clipboards and knocked on doors and saw that you could make movements that could fundamentally drive social change, and I just felt like that's what I had to be doing. And of course, that president's name was George W. Bush. And those problems were so quaint by comparison to what we're dealing with now. But it taught me about the power of movements, and it taught me about the power of people coming together. So that's eventually why I ran for the legislature. I lost my first race, by the way. I lost in 2008. Found myself in that amazing sector of the economy, which is unemployed idiots who left promising careers to lose elections and are married to graduate students and have 4.5-month-old children at home. If any of you are giving career advice to anyone, I would recommend not that. But I was lucky enough to have another chance. I was incredibly blessed, incredibly fortunate, and had another chance. And I've been in the legislature now since the beginning of 2011, and I've seen a lot, and hopefully you've heard some about some of my accomplishments, and I've learned a lot about how things can be made to work, and yet about how they most often don't work, and about what things most need to change. And I think I have a really good instinct based upon the time that I've put in and the successes and failures that I've had about what can we accomplish and what can we do right now, and what do we need to do that we can't quite do, but if we fight hard enough together over the course of 6 months, then it will be possible within the next year. I think when I'm governor, I'll have the knowledge needed to ensure that those first crucial weeks in office will be spent fundamentally beginning that transformation of our state that we know is out there waiting to happen, but we also know it's going to be hard to make happen. And I also know that all of that will work only if it is not just some guy called Daniel who's governor, but if it's a real movement of people across the state prepared to work together inside and outside of government to push the legislature and to work with the legislature to advance policies from the inside and to agitate from the outside. And by the way, that's also the only way that I'm going to win this race, because it is true that I'm not a billionaire, I'm not a millionaire. I think it's pretty likely that I'm a thousandaire. Check with the exact value of our home, but we're close. Like, there's no question that I'm a hundredaire. No question. And I'm not, like, none of my uncles were ever president. Though, I mean, one of my uncles I think would be really good, so that's, still time. There's still time. He's 75, but now when people run, it's okay. that's not how I'm going to win. And there are people who just ask, Daniel, you seem like a very, very nice guy, which if you don't think so, you can tell me later. But Daniel, you seem like a nice guy. I like what you're talking about. I think you'd be a better governor than these other folks. But you can't go up against all that money, can you? And I'll admit that I've struggled with that question. In December, Bruce Rauner wrote his campaign a $50 million check. $50 million. And then in March, Chris Kennedy wrote his campaign a $250,000 check. And then in April, J.B. Pritzker wrote his campaign a $7 million check, which at the time seemed like a lot. It turns out to have been only one of 4 so far, but at the time, $7 million seemed like a lot. And we heard about that late on a Friday afternoon, and I went home and had a really depressing weekend. And spent a lot of time talking with my wife, Karen, about what does that mean? What does that mean? Can we withstand it? Because I can't write it. Well, I could write a $7 million check. Wouldn't do a lot. And that's a tremendous amount of money. It buys a lot of things. What can we even go up against this? Is there any point? Should we give up? We thought about what that meant. We thought about our own 2 children. We thought about the future of our community. We thought about the future of our democracy. We thought about the society we are hoping to build. And we thought about this fight for the soul of the Democratic Party. And we asked ourselves, are we having an election or are we having an auction? And we decided it's just too important. It's too important. And so we're in. We're in. We're committed. We're believers. And on Monday morning, I did the same thing, and I wrote my campaign a $25 check. I don't know why that's funny. It was a hard choice, but we're believers. But here's the thing. Before I wrote the check, I took a picture of it, and I put the picture on Facebook, and it was instantaneous. $25 contributions coming in online from every corner of the state of Illinois. From everywhere in Illinois, from people who'd never met me before, people who'd never heard of me before, people who definitely didn't know my positions on the issues, but they felt in their bones what we feel in our bones, which is that the state government has not been working for the rest of us. We have been locked out by a tax system and a school funding system and a campaign finance system and a healthcare system that was not built by us and therefore was not built for us. And I think people feel right now that if we can work together and build a campaign that we all jointly have a stake in, that's how we get a government that we all have a stake in. Now I go back to that answer I gave about how our economy needs to be rehabilitated for a modern world and needs to be rehabilitated so we can have a growing and thriving middle class instead of a shrinking middle class. And I think that this is the moment for us all to come together and do that. For us all to come together and say enough, enough, enough. Every single day I read another article in a national or international publication about how politics in Illinois has become a game for billionaires. And if we think that's okay, we can walk away and allow that to happen. But if we think that it's time to build a Democratic Party that works for the rest of us, this is our moment, and I'm here to ask you to join in that effort. Thank you very much.